everyone, welcome to the Graceless Skinny. Today is our end of year review series continued with our STEAM picks that we did for kindergarten in our 2017-2018 school year. So let's get right into it. First off, the Lift to Flat books. And I forgot to cover this Inside Your Body one with the science, which is where Timberdoodle puts it. We put it in the specials in the STEAM category because we consider it more health than science. And so that's the way that we are doing that. That's the way that we are doing with that. All four of these books were great. We loved them. There's a lot of information in there. We will be using them again in first grade because the little that we did cover, it would be helpful to review again. And this one in particular is good for just kind of reviewing and for health purposes. We did make it through this one. This one was included in our lesson plans and the rest weren't. And what we discovered, being a family of people with ADHD, is if you don't put it in the lesson plan, it doesn't get done. So, for first grade, you will find that all four books have been built into the lesson plan to read on different days. But we really like them. On my scale of 0 to 10, for those who might be new to the channel, 0 is I feel like I completely wasted my money and threw it away and almost feel ripped off. 10 being, it is absolutely wonderful, hands down, recommended, best thing in the world ever, perfect, it couldn't get any better. I'm giving these a good 7.5. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and give it an 8. They are colorful, they are beautiful, they have great information that is broken down on a level for younger readers to absorb, but older readers to absorb different information as well. It doesn't make anybody feel overwhelmed or go over their head. It is great. I would say any of the Lift the Flap Usborne books are great from pre-K up to, I think, all of elementary school. This coding book definitely could go up to the higher grade levels because there's some stuff in there that my husband, who's in IT, says she might not be able to understand in these first younger years that we do it. So that's that. For this one, those who remembered reading my end of year review from last year, from pre-K, and will remember that we did half this book in pre-K and half of this book in kindergarten. And for those who've been looking at the Timberdoodle first grade kits, you might think that, this book cover looks awfully familiar to one of the books in the first grade kits. And that's because the publisher no longer does this particular one, but instead does it at has reworded it and put a few different pages and changed it just slightly, but it's basically the same book. I know if some of the sample pages are pages that I've seen in this book. I will say we weren't huge fans of this book. I pushed her for it to think from a creative, outside the box, come up with your own solution kind of thing. I think it's a little weird that they put it in pre-K and that now that these pre-K kids who, if they bought the full kit, are now going to use a first grade kit. Those same kids are basically going to have the same book again. I don't think it's a huge deal. We went without it in the first grade kit. I'm going to give this book a solid 6. It gets a 6 from me. It was cute. It's beautifully illustrated. There's some fun in there, but there's not much else to it. Once we finished this, we moved on to this doodle book. And my daughter is very much in love with all things Pinkalicious, the show, the books, all of it. What I found that I really loved about this, especially because it's trying to fill that art category, whereas this doodle and draw book that Timberdoodle recommended was kind of mindless, think of it yourself and just go. This encouraged her to do that, but it also did it by, like, on certain pages, like it had spent one page talking about abstract versus concrete and like the different ways that they do that. And it talks about like color, encourages color and imagination Here we go. Representational versus abstract. And we were able to have a very good lesson on that, even though it kind of overwhelmed her just a little bit. But we were able to have a really good art lesson out of that with this book. And there are 2 others, Pinkalicious doodle books that I'm aware of. And we have all 3. So when she finishes this one, she'll move on to one of the others. But we really love this book, and we're having big fun with it. Last of the books was the Usborne Big Drawing book. We liked this book a lot. My only beef would be that when it came time for school purposes and for her to do it, she would sometimes feel overwhelmed. She would drag her feet. It was sometimes a fight to get her to do it properly. Now, fast forward to like about a month ago, when Chick-fil-A included a shrunken down version of this book in their kids meal, and she had pages that she had already done in this book, mind you, and she saw them and she was like, wow, Mommy, look at this cool book. It's so fun. Look at me draw. And started drawing a whole bunch. Like, for instance, this page. And so she did have fun with it. It was a good way for her to kind of start to learn the step-by-step processes and the shapes and such. And there was not a single picture in here that she couldn't at least somewhat accomplish. Some were better drawn than others, but she could somewhat have accomplished it. And I am tempted to leave this out so that she could look back on it if she wanted to for drawing reference. I haven't decided if I'm doing that or not, but she definitely has picked up on how to draw things a bit with this, and she's really kind of blossomed. Lastly, in our art and STEAM and extras, specials, whatever you want to call this subject, or this kind of mishmash subject where everything kind of get covered, is our Home Art Studio Kindergarten. It is a personal lessons for art teacher. I will say there were some projects that we skipped, some that we just didn't feel like doing, and there's a couple left that we need to still get done. It's sometimes hard to pull out all the supplies and do it. That being said, we love it. We're looking forward to doing it in first grade. And we were able to adapt certain things, like for instance, one of the projects is this happy sun, and we happened to end up on doing that project right around when the solar eclipse happened. And so we were able to I just adapted it and made her draw, instead of a happy sun, made her do the sun, and then made her do a moon as well, and we made it, and so she made an eclipse picture instead. As far as would I recommend buying the full list of art supplies? I think I overbought on the art supplies a little bit. If you have tempera paint and watercolors and a paintbrush and some color and markers and some construction paper and if you want to do like more durable stuff, bristle board and watercolor paper, that's all you really need. Maybe an artist palette so that they have it, but you really don't necessarily need it. And I would say that the recommended art supply kit that you can get on there is probably not necessary. I think I might have forgotten to give these ratings. So I'm going to go back and we're going to go ahead and give the ratings for these books and for art. The Doodle and Draw book, I'm giving a 5. I'm giving the Purple Doodle book a solid 7 or 8. There were a few pages in here that we've had to skip because it involves writing for like a slightly older child, but that's not really the fault of that. It just didn't quite fit for our daughter, but she loves it. I think if you ask my daughter, she would say this book is a good solid 9 or 10. I'm going to give the drawing book a good 8. Again, creative art, wonderful, got her thinking, got her to figure out how to draw, which was what was so overwhelming with this Doodle and Draw book, because she didn't know how to draw anything And the idea of just draw was so overwhelming to her that she couldn't figure out how to make the shapes work. And this kind of introduced the idea of using the shapes you know how to draw to build something that you don't know how to draw. Home Art Studio, I am giving a good solid, let's give it an 8.5. We really did like it. There are some in here that we did not do, or that we felt were I could do a different way and do better, because I knew better. I knew a better way to do it. But as somebody who doesn't have an art degree, it was a nice way. It was nice to know that the art education standpoint had my bases covered. So yeah, 8.5 for that. If you have any questions about anything you see here, be sure to leave a comment below, and I will be sure to try to answer those for you. Keep your eye out, because the rest of the end of year reviews are coming, and then once that, you'll get first grade picks. Thanks for watching, everybody. See you soon.